Welcome to another episode of Me, You, and Jeju. I'm Darryl with Alexis, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Joey Rositano, who's
Why'd you put an accent on that?
I wanted to make sure I hit all the syllables.
I like it. I like
Rositano, who's a writer, photo book maker, independent documentarian, and traveler, and all that good stuff. We are here today on location at Art Space C, where he has an incredible photo exhibition, which we'll get into more later, because it's not just a photo exhibition, it's so much more than that. Mm-hmm. But before we get to that, I want to ask you, what do you guys know about the Jeju space industry? Did you know there was a Jeju space?
You have to be ready, Joey. There's
I
always
knew
trick
there
questions.
was a museum, right? Some type of space museum.
Aerospace museum, in the middle of nowhere, yeah.
I've passed by that.
Yep.
I know about the strange UFO-y lights, which are there quite often, but the last time they showed up, everybody went crazy.
Yeah, when like on CNN and everybody writing about like, what are these lights?
So you don't know much.
Nothing
I'm
more,
with Joey.
no.
I know. I've been to the Space Museum, so I'm one more
Have
than
you?
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing. Oh, is it?
No, I don't know. I've never been.
Well, I mean, it's just...
Might be a sponsor
Sorry,
at
it's
some
like
point.
it's mostly a cafe, if I remember
Is that right?
correctly.
I've blown by. I've never
Next to
been
the
in.
green tea fields, right? Are we still?
I think so. Yeah.
Just making
That's
sure.
it.
So have you ever heard of I don't even know how if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but Perigi Aerospace?
No.
No.
Well, you soon will. Because Perigi Aerospace earlier this month announced plans to launch a satellite launch vehicle, which is fancy talk for a rocket, from Jeju before the end of the year.
Wow.
That's really close.
Okay,
they
where
even
would they
prepared?
do this? Where's the facility for that? I'm curious.
Well, it's actually really fascinating. Well, I'm going to put, you'll be seeing this right now. I'll be putting up photos on the videos and whatnot. But it's going to be, they're building it now, which is this offshore platform that they're going to put off of Yeongsu Village in West Jeju.
Yes.
Okay, wow.
I've seen
Wow.
it. And I wonder what was happening.
Oh, you have seen
Yes,
it?
I've seen it, because there's a big crane out there. No?
I haven't
I was
been
like,
there.
I
I'm
could be
just on
wrong.
the internet,
Yeah.
searching around.
We were
finding
just
stuff.
talking about Florida. This has a Florida vibe.
Oh, that, yeah. So, yeah, no, it's interesting. Hold on to that thought about Florida, because we'll get back to that, right? So the announcement, it signed an agreement to build and operate Korea's first commercial launch pad. So think SpaceX more than Kennedy Space Station, but Kennedy Space Station does sort of come into this, right? Images of it and a 3D rendering of it, which is why I don't think it's under, because I've seen 3D rendering, but it's supposed to be done by the end of this year because they're supposed to be launching these things from it, right? But, why do you think Jeju?
Trick question, I don't know.
No, I'm just curious. When I thought of Jeju, did you think burgeoning aerospace
Do you think
industry?
maybe it just has enough?
No, I'm thinking. I am thinking the Florida connection. I'm thinking back to the old Hawaii tourism connection, and maybe this is like SpaceX Florida connect. I guess he launches from. Where does he launch from?
They have a
Yes,
space
Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
I was thinking
Like this.
space, like we had enough,
That's a big reason, actually.
right? Yeah, because we had enough.
It's
whatever.
not so much this space. I
Yeah,
think it's
out,
more
right?
this
that
space,
space, yeah.
right? Because so it's interesting because this company is talking about making the cheapest possible launch vehicle. It costs like $3 million So if you had $3 million, you could put a satellite on this rocket into space, right?
So many other things.
Let's
I
start
would do.
today.
Yeah. Kick thunder.
I just think this is amazing because it's also going to be South Korea's first one, and they've already launched from Jeju in March of 20. Yeah,
What?
who knows? Because
Was
they're
it
not,
secret?
They're not these huge rockets anymore.
Is this connected to the military at all?
No,
okay,
because
just
it's
to make sure.
commercial. It's fully commercial, but government backed and whatnot.
Okay.
And so they had a test flight of one part of this 2-stage rocket back in March. And the upcoming launch will also be a test flight of its Blue Whale 1 rocket. And it's supposed to be launching data and weather satellites.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and so Jeju is kind of it's a little frustrating. Jeju always wants to be the mecca of something in Korea, but this is something that
It's something really interesting. Yeah.
that they're going into, because it's not just the launching of it that they want to do. The Jeju government, they want to do the controlling of the satellites from here. They want to do all this like really interesting. They already have like this. The drone stuff going on.
The
with
drone thing
space,
is really
right?
cool, yeah. You know what I'm thinking about? This is really random, but I know a dude that's here right now with a Spanish company that's building a second radar. Do you think this has anything to do with it?
I would not be surprised.
And they're building, so it's a, because I don't know what that's going to go on with the second airport,
Yeah.
but it's, it's there. It's a second radar, and it's almost that project's almost finished.
And so they're hoping to go into business by 2025.
That's wild to me.
Right. And so it won't just be like one launch.
It'll be multiple, hey?
Multiple launches, quite frequently for like different players. Like it's.
Jeju.
And they have a 5-point plan for this as a growth engine. And part of it's also the tourism, as you were saying, the Kennedy Space Station.
I wouldn't have thought about that, Joey, actually, but that does bring in massive tourism to Florida. Really.
Yeah.
And this is like
school trips. Sorry,
I'm sure-
No, keep going.
my mind is really.
It'll be
going
the
for
same. I'm
school
sure
trips,
they'll be
everything,
public.
Yeah.
You'll be able to view
You'll be
this
able to
from
do,
that village. I'm
View
sure,
it
right?
and
So this was literally just announced, the 5-point plan in February. And it was announced this month about the test plan, the test flight, the first test flight from Jeju was announced earlier this month. And the CEO is Shin Dong-yoon, the CEO of Perigi. I'm assuming that's how you say it. He seems to have been like a Jeju National University alumnus.
oh my gosh.
Right? And in a recent interview, he was talking about, space industry companies of various fields will head to Jeju, and space launch pad tours and space experience tourism products will be created. He's saying all the same things that it's a little bit worrisome. Based on all the same things that they've said about similar projects on Jeju, right?
I always go in with, there's probably a word that I'm not forgetting. I always go in with, when you don't really count on something happening. What is that?
Yeah,
Where
a little
like
trepidation or a
or
little,
you're just like,
a little distrust.
You're like, will this actually happen? Will it not? So I'll be
We've
fascinated.
had chairlifts. We've had many things.
The chairlifts, don't even get started. That's we could do a whole episode on the
I think of
chairlifts.
Dom and all they tried this a couple years ago. They wanted all the internet company.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Right, they wanted all these internet companies to come here because it makes perfect sense.
And Dom is gone now?
Dom is gone.
How about Nexum? That's still here? Or how did that...
Nexum Museum is here, but I don't know about whether or not...
There were game designers working out of there before.
A lot of game designers. One of the companies just headed back to Seoul. One of my friends' game designing companies headed back. But I mean, they've done some things. Naver's here, Cacao's here. So there are certain things they did. But then, as we all know, there's a million other things that it's just like they say, the Costco thing.
Yeah.
Costco's not coming, so don't get excited, people.
We were discussing earlier about rumors of Costco coming to Jeju.
But apparently, it's died in the water as per everything else. Not everything else, but a lot
So,
of other things.
When it comes to the Costco, which is interesting, 25 local companies were complaining against it. That was one of the reasons for it, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And also there was government ideas why do we need this and blah, blah, blah. Right. But considering we have the protests about the second airbase. That's not right. Airport.
Yep.
We had protests about the naval base. How long do you think before we have protests about rocket launches?
I guess it depends on what the impact will be environmentally. How it's offshore, the landing. Did they supposed to? So we're for sure. Someone's going to say, obviously, and rightly should. They should be protecting Jeju. People should do everything they can to protect what they have.
It's interesting you went environment. I was thinking more militarily speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I
because
think
what's the
all
difference
tie
between
together.
a rocket and a missile?
Yeah.
A lot of these things start out as environment, and I feel like the political end comes in later.
Yeah.
And I imagine, who knows, maybe there's protests going on there now, who knows. I mean, a lot of times these things, there's protests in Woljang right now, but not everyone has heard about it yet, but eventually it'll reach a broader audience.
Is that for
and be
the pulling in the
politicized.
sand?
For the hasu, for the waste management.
Yes.
plant.
Same thing that happened in Dojo.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're getting real well off track, but everyone should be complaining.
Anyway,
about everything,
we've seen the Dream Tower go up.
Yes.
So, we have seen a lot of stuff
after
happen,
sitting
actually
empty.
happen, yeah.
So many people don't. I try to say something to people about how that was just a hole and
Yeah.
how it was a really deep hole for like 3 years or something. And
Yeah.
people are like, "What?" I'm like, "No, I'm not kidding. It was just a hole in the ground for years after they kicked all the people out of their houses and paid them off and stuff like that. And then it just sat. Yeah, but people,
Yeah.
unless you've been here a while, you don't remember that walking
No,
around
that was a
thing.
drama.
Oh,
That
it was
was a
huge
drama.
drama.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
Jeju governors.
There's a quote that I like,
Okay.
which is,
Bring us back on track. Good.
"It's my job for the penny the big bucks. If you show children the scene where rockets are launched, their understanding of the world will be different. I want to tell them that there's a bigger world than the world we live with our feet on." And that's also from Shin Dong-yoon, the CEO of Perigi. And
I like that.
it's close to the Jeju education sound. And there's like universities on the island. I think it's an interesting idea from that point of view, right? Like we already have
Right.
the high school there too,
Yep.
which is
Yep.
involved in rockets and stuff on Jeju. I mean in Korea in general.
Yeah.
So it'll be like it's not just about now, it's about down the road,
Agreed.
right? I don't know. We'll have to yay or nay.
On that, I will say something. Fred Dustin, legendary owner of the Gimyang Maze Park, who passed away a few years ago, he said that speaking of this guy, since he was from Jeju and came back, he said the history of Jeju, the story of Jeju, is the story of people going and coming back with new ideas, and that's the whole history of the place.
Preach. That's
So,
so
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So true.
And on that note, let's go to Jeju Dialect Quarter with Juyoung Han.
Choo-choo.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we are back with another stupendous segment of Jeju Dialect Corner with our teacher, Sansanim Juyoung Han. Thank you again, of course, for gracing us with your presence. Now,
Oh.
I know we have a really like fantastic and useful word today, but before we get going, I want to know. It's a kids table. It's just you and me. No Alexis today. How the hell are you? It's good to see you.
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. I got some pep in my step, that's for sure. What's been going on?
Uh, so this month,
Hmm.
uh, really good. I have good news
Okay.
for Safe Cheshwara and for you guys as well.
Uh-huh.
We have collaborated with really good company, like hip company, and made some plant pots,
Hmm.
made ocean recycled plastic, uh, ocean ocean
Waste.
waste, ocean plastic waste. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's coming out on 16th.
So June 16th,
Yeah.
people will be able to buy these plastic pots for plants,
Yes.
plastic plant pots,
Hmm.
made by Plastic Arc,
Yes.
and they are made of ocean waste. Ocean waste collected with your very own hands. Is that true?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
Wow.
So if you want to check it out,
Huh.
follow us on Instagram and stay tuned.
Hmm.
And you can buy it online as well. So it's really pretty actually. So
Where can people get a hold, like if they want to look at these plastic pots that are saving the environment and
yes.
so where can, like, what's the website? Give us a link. Plug away.
Oh, actually, we Save Jeju Bara is gonna sell it. So
Uh-huh.
uh, if you follow us on Instagram, there's gonna be a link on
Uh-huh.
profile. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, just you have to follow us on Instagram.
That's crazy that you're doing that, by the way. Incredibly crazy. Because
Thank
it's
you.
crazy good for the environment,
Mhm.
right? It's crazy
Yeah.
good for you guys. It's crazy good for everybody. What's our word for the week, Juyong?
Yeah, the word I have today is dorajang. It
Dora
means
Jang.
crazy. Yeah, crazy good. Yeah.
Okay. How can
Yeah.
how would you use it? So is this a slang term?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. So it's one of the well-known 사투리
Uh-huh.
to everyone, even younger people.
Mhm.
So you can use it like in a joking way. Um, whenever you say something like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Things like that. So,
Mm. So, but you could also use it like crazy good too, right? Like
and
this is
not,
crazy
not really,
good, or is it only like in a negative way?
only like up, like when you refer to people, like,
Right. Like, what do you
yeah,
do? Are you crazy?
noun. So yeah, it's a noun actually.
Can you say it again?
Each person. So I would
Okay.
say, yeah,
Uh, can you
I would
use it
say,
in a sentence for us?
너 도라짱이냐?
Okay. Yeah, I think I've
오,
heard that from my wife before. Yeah.
도라짱이네.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So the whole word is Jeju Saturi. It's all Jeju dialect,
Yeah, 도라짱.
and Jang. So it's like the double. I don't know the name of the words,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Double 지읒.
double
Yeah,
G it Jang,
yeah.
right? Oh, awesome. And people like you can hear sometimes like kids saying this to each other on the street, like, and
Mhm.
would an Ajuma ever say this?
Well, it's usually between friends. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, like, remember you sent me the link. Like there's a kind of upcoming uprising star of
Mhm.
Jeju dialect.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Oh,
yeah,
he's our
YouTube.
competition. That guy's our compet.
He
Maybe.
covered that dorajang as well on one
Oh.
of his clips on
Uh,
YouTube. So
maybe we should be promoting our competition, but no, good luck for him. I think he's on TikTok, right?
yeah,
I
also on
mean, I
TikTok.
joke because the more exposure people get to Jeju Satori, the better.
Mhm.
So I don't remember his name. I remember I was just looking up Jeju Satori words and I came across it. So
Yeah,
Dora
Moreng.
Jang. Hmm?
His name is Morengamen. Nickname.
Oh. Well, maybe we should try to get a hold of him, see if he wants to come on our show. If he
Yeah,
talk to
sure.
us about it. So this is a word that you use. You've
Yeah,
used this. Uh huh. When
a
was the
lot.
last time?
Well,
What
like
specifics?
yesterday,
What happened?
cause a friend of mine drinks every day, and
Yep.
she broke her ankle. Not broke, but sprained
Hmm.
badly. Even now she drinks every day. So I told her that you are dorajang.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's
it
what
was yesterday.
when you said this thing. The first thing I thought of was like it's 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting there watching a movie, playing video games. I'm like, you know what? I can have another beer, and I crack it open, and my wife comes, Dora John. That's
Yeah,
exactly what
yeah,
I was
exactly.
thinking.
Yeah, exactly. You
So
can
this is
do
a
that.
great word. Thank you so much for this word. This
Yeah,
is like we're like doing a what's the term? A slang like series now. This is great. These are
yeah,
useful, common, and like like chill. Like this is cool. Will you do so many words that are like ajuma points, and this is cool. So thank you
yeah,
so much, Juyoung. This is great.
yeah.
Bye. Talk to you
Bye.
next time. Bye. So you must say thank you to Ann Hae-kyung for allowing us to shoot this in Art Space
It's
C.
very cool to be here.
Yeah. She's a good lady. She's very passionate, and she gave me a great opportunity to show my stuff here.
It's cool.
And it's been an interesting process.
She's a very wonderful person. She's helped me out on. She's the one who got me in contact with the Sam writer that I recently interviewed. Right. Like
Okay.
she's always very helpful with getting to know people. And so if you guys get a chance, make sure you guys come down here.
How long does this run
This
for,
will
Joe?
be open until Saturday, so not very long.
So it'll be closed by
It'll
the
be
time
closed
we air.
by the time
Okay.
this is on, but
But-
the third floor is open at random times, and there's kind of a collection of all the different artist stuff up there. But I'm not sure. It's Art Space C. I'm not sure when that's open, but you could check the website.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's worth checking out because she has great
And it's
stuff.
in a great location, this space. Although it's hard to park, it's great to come and walk around. the underground markets here. So come out, guys, support local art for sure.
Ride the bus or
Ride the bus.
walk down.
The bus stop's right there. All things that
Hitchhike.
Walk down the hill, but don't walk back up the hill.
Wingsuit, whatever you're gonna do.
So all three of us have been here relatively a long time.
Who, us?
The three of us, a triptych, a trio.
Joey, how long have you been here?
I think it's been like 15 years. I haven't been here the whole time,
Yeah,
but
off
I've
and
come
on,
and gone. Yeah, something like that. Around the time you came, maybe.
I've been here for 10 years, for like 15 years.
Right.
Now, yeah. I keep telling you, like 10 years,
10 years, yeah.
And it's
Okay.
not true anymore. It's a lie.
What are you leading us into?
What did you guys know of the narcotics situation on Jeju?
That's it. Why are you asking
What
this
did you
question
assume?
like that?
What did you think would be like here? Honestly,
Before we moved
before
here?
you came. What was your impression? Not like. Not
why are you asking this?
like not if you know a guy now. That's what I was asking.
I think I knew what I was getting into. That it was pretty hardcore shutdown. I think I knew that coming here.
I had no idea. On the plane here, I remember I was reading, because I had 1 day of planning before I came to Jeju. And I took a job here and
Sounds
just came out. I did no research, but I was reading a book about criminality in Thailand on the way here. So I kind of assumed that Asia was all the same.
I think that's
I
why
thought that
also.
there would be like a lot of foreign people here doing like illicit things, but
You thought so?
I didn't really understand
I didn't think
what
so.
Korea was like at that point at all.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We're a
But I
bunch
mean,
of-
after being here a couple months, obviously it was like, no, there's no drug activity here whatsoever.
But do you also remember? So did you come through a recruiter? My recruiter was very, very just plain out was like, by the way, you will be drug. And I was coming from Denver, Colorado, and maybe he just knew, and he was just like, I just want to let you know. You're going to be drug tested as soon as you within a day that you're off the plane. So he was very open with that, and it was just like, don't mess around with that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Teachers have
Teachers
to
have
get a drug test within 30 days.
Yeah. So I knew I was coming into hard, and I didn't expect anything.
Yeah.
But-
Now that you mention it,
Right?
I
Right?
would have been tipped off by that. They have
Yeah.
a drug test.
I remember when I got here, because Canada, the rules are much
A bit more lax.
Yeah, there was some guys from British Columbia that had some sort of pills that they were taking to try to get out of their system faster.
Oh yes.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's never it's not something that I've ever really been interested in, being the athlete that I was growing up, and
Jesus.
as you can tell by this chiseled physique. But I knew. I think it was pretty much like it knew it was pretty
Yeah, we all
strict.
knew that, yes.
So the figures came out recently for last year. How many drug offenses there were?
All right, hit us with the numbers.
No,
Darryl.
let's play a game. It's not really a fun
Joey,
game.
I don't know if you listen to us all the time, but Darryl's is a numbers man.
Okay.
And he likes to quiz, and then I always get it wrong, and then so let's
I've heard this.
These
do it.
come from straight from the horse's mouth, the government, because they're doing stuff. How many drug offenses do you think there were in last year?
we gotta aim high.
I mean, look, I can't believe there's more than one.
Shoot, no, come.
Really?
That's no, for sure. I'm
Okay.
gonna go high because I think there's actually quite a lot of things going on this
Are we
island.
talking about local
Like
people
arrested?
too, or is this just foreign people we're talking about?
It's just
the
all
Everybody,
offenses.
okay, everybody.
One year, so last year, 2022, I'm gonna go with 250
250
offenses or busts or arrests. Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
It's weird.
250,
It's weird the way
whatever
the press release had it, because it just said offenses. It didn't even
Yeah,
say
so I think
Okay.
offenses is the
Yeah.
right word. Yeah, okay. So you need
I'll,
to go.
I'll go with.
one, I think.
I'll go with 150.
Okay.
Yeah.
113.
Yes. Oh, I knew it was gonna. That's a little lower than I
That's Wow, I'm shocked.
113, which is a 22% increase from the year before when there was 93. And this is getting people worried.
Jesus.
Like the government had it. That's why
Did
the
they-
press release
wait,
came
the
out.
thing is,
Did
the
they
first.
break down which drugs?
No,
see,
not.
this is-
Okay.
Unfortunately, no. Nor did the offenses. Like, were they trafficking? Was it consuming? Was it a party?
There was a lot of trafficking. I do know that there was a lot of trafficking, and they were getting busted at the airport. I do know that. A couple
Is that
South
where they're coming
Africans-
from?
Yeah, a couple of Safas came with stuff in. Yeah, so I do know. But no, there's other stuff. It's happening on the island too.
Like it didn't. Like I would have liked to have known if it was cannabis or if it was
Yes, other,
something
like,
harder,
pills or
right?
something
Because
like-
I think it's easier to get chemical, like
Yeah.
meth.
Well, look
I
at
assume-
what was happening in right inside of Gangnam, or that you remember, guys?
The meth ring.
Yeah, and they
remember
put
that,
the table out, and they had these special juices, and they were advertising for kids coming out of school in between hagwons, and they're like, this is an energy drink, and they were giving it to children.
Right.
But what was in there? Like, it was like heroin and
They were
stuff.
giving just drugs to children?
They were
Straight up in the energy drink. And so the
Like
people,
for free?
yes, they wanted to. Yeah, it was crazy. And the people that were working the table were just part-time workers. They had just, like, imagine putting something on Craigslist. It was like, do you want to make a few dollars? Come, we're trying to, launch this energy drink. Come, all you have to do is pass out.
That's fascinating.
And so they weren't even, and it was huge. So it doesn't,
That's really interesting because one of the
So there's
issues
hard drugs here.
that the government is finding is that people just don't understand what drugs are really, right? So
Well, there's,
Jeju has they did some sort of nationwide survey, and Jeju was at the lowest for understanding the harmful effects of drug misuse. It was they didn't again lacking a bunch of information. 75.5 points is what Jeju got, which is below average and the lowest in all of Korea.
I do think in general, because it's been so strict here, that Koreans, my friends included, don't understand what drugs are. That just as drugs are bad, that's it across the board.
Sure.
But they don't understand how one is different than the other, or what addiction and that sort of thing, because it's not. It's been so shut off. Like there's just no education about it either. So now they're gonna have to, in my opinion, obviously gonna have to rethink their. Hopefully, it's not like say no to drugs, because that didn't work in America.
Yeah.
Just import those old commercials.
Yes,
and
just
subtitle
put
everything.
it back in.
No,
You got
but-
other numbers in there? What
No,
other numbers?
that's literally all the numbers they have. But they're doing they're having like a special measure that's going on right now to
Lord.
combat
Just
illicit
like-
drugs on the island, right? And it's lasting for from May 4th to June 30th. They had a meeting, and now they're having a 2-month special countermeasure where they're going to schools and they're trying to crack down on illicit drug use in Jeju.
I
So
don't think it's the kids they need to be worried about, but I mean maybe just educating them. But they had 2 huge drug busts. We talked about this where we don't need to go into it.
Yeah, I can't
There's
remember
2
now.
Massive drug busts, massive.
Wow.
Yeah, within 1 month of each other. One was a while ago. The most recent one was they were growing weed in their apartment on a major scale.
Jeez.
oh, that's right. Yeah, I just
And
remember
the
that.
other
Yeah.
one was also growing as well and was caught with a ton of weed.
We always hear horror stories about people getting caught every once in a while, and they kind of seem like myths because they're.
Yeah, you're like,
know,
did
the
that really
people-
happen?
Yeah.
But I mean, we've all had friends that have gotten, or maybe not Darryl because he's a goody two shoes, but Joey,
I have
we've had
friends.
friends that got kicked out.
It's just
I've
it's
had
surprising
two.
because in the first few years I was here, I could count just a few people, and I remember their stories and their situation.
Yeah.
And it was pretty. I think they spent like a month in jail and
Yeah.
they were deported. Was the kind of pattern.
Never to be allowed to return again.
Yeah, but it was pretty minor possession.
Yes, minor
it wasn't,
possessions, exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't like a
Exactly.
big operation.
It's more severe for Koreans, I guess. Then, right? For small amounts of cannabis, it's.
It'd be interesting, just to throw in my own personal opinion, it'd be great if also they really, if you're going to educate on drugs, maybe we should educate on the dangers of soju and alcoholism, hands in hands, not just one. Like, there's such a fear of drugs here.
Yeah.
Versus, it's so common to see people falling down, and I mean, in front of kids falling down, and there's not any education about that. It's fascinating to me how.
I have to look this up because I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do think that Jeju has the highest alcoholism.
Well, I can totally believe that.
Yeah, I
It
don't
makes
quote me
sense.
on that.
You're just
I'll
on
go
an
look it up
island.
for next time. But I remember seeing that a while ago, and it has to do with the history and the trauma of the island. And,
What is it?
and
Generational trauma.
Generational
Absolutely.
trauma,
Totally
right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
And cannabis. The government is not Jeju government. The Korean government is now experimenting with the idea of
Yeah.
cannabis for medical
Right.
purposes, which may kind of.
Balance things.
I mean, maybe. I'm not a drug expert, but interesting. I would have never known that it was 113 offenses. That's it. But the problem with drugs is the stuff that comes with it, right? Like, illegal drugs come with illegal businesses, mafia,
Dude.
things like that.
Yeah, Jeju is all mafia. We're not, no more mafias coming here than already is here. I mean, for God's sakes, all of the ports and all of the fisheries are
All the ports and all the lands
and
are.
all the lands. I mean, they're all gangsters.
There's have you ever passed that that Italian restaurant called Port Container.
Yes.
That cracks me up every time.
Anyways.
I have no idea of this place. All right, let's go to a quick break and we'll come back with Joey. And now we're back with Joey Rositano in Art Space C. And so, where are we? What are we doing? And what are these wonderful pictures on the wall?
We are at an exhibition that I put on along with Art Space C, sponsored by Art Space C in the basement gallery here. And we're looking at photos from a project that I started before the pandemic. And in this project, I was exploring the very interesting and unique relationship between people and crows, especially in the mountain villages of Jeju Island. And I came back after the pandemic, and I was determined to finish it. So this is the first part of it, the exhibition. Then after that, I'll be publishing a photo book on the same topic.
Yeah. Now, and Joey, some of you listeners might remember we had Joey on before because Joey is, can I call you an expert on shamanism?
I think that I am.
Yeah.
People who have PhDs call me that. So
Joey's an expert on shamanism, and the cool thing about this project is really tying into your first love of studying shamanism, right? Mm-hmm. So the crows follow you.
Yeah, the crows follow me. Yeah, I want to make T-shirts definitely that say "We're watching you," or
the business ideas are just churning.
So before we get into the merchandising. Explain where did the impetus from this? What is it really? It's because it's not these photos. What is the project?
Yeah. Okay. So I studied shamanism for many years. I started interviewing retired shamans in villages that older people who had time to share with me, and they taught me about the Jeju myths about 10 years ago, and then I became really interested in the shamanic shrines that are in each village that Darryl wrote about before I wrote about them. And, the grandmothers, especially some grandfathers, visit these places to pray, and they believe that gods live within these shrines. And each shrine has a mythology to it. So I got really into that, and I kind of specialized unofficially, but I specialized in the relationship between the people who go to the shrine and the shrine. Mm-hmm. More than the shaman part and all of that. Right. I studied that too, but especially the shrines. So I realized that through getting interested in crow behavior, because I was feeding crows near my apartment in Jeju at the beginning of COVID and before that actually. And I got interested in crows, so I started reading about crow intelligence and crow behavior. And I was reading a book by this academic called Marzluff, who is the man who discovered how crows can recognize individual human beings, remember their faces, and remember them over long periods of time if this person is good or bad, and they can somehow teach their children this information. Mysteriously.
Crazy. Yeah.
Very crazy. And so, to make a long story short, Marzluff said in one of his books, he said, I need to find a place in the world where there are generations of people, multiple generations who live in one community, and multiple generations of crows who have interacted over long periods of time to see this take place in its natural context. Yeah. But where in the world would that be? Yeah. And I realized when I read that, it was kind of a eureka moment, and I said, it's Jeju Island. And I realized from my research on the shamanic shrines that part of shamanism is ritual bird feeding, and I realized that this was the situation because you have local crows who live in one village, and then the villagers who live in one village, and this relationship between the two has gone on for probably centuries. Yeah. So I went out and I filmed it all, documented it, interviewed people. Yeah.
That's fascinating. So what were you hoping to achieve, and what have you learned?
Okay, so I was hoping to solve the mystery, and the mystery was this. When I would go to shrines, especially in the mid-mountain region, I would go early in the morning at like 4 a.m., and the women would show up with their offering baskets full of food, and they would tear off part of the offerings as part of the ritual.
We got some pictures around here.
Got some pictures of it here, yeah. And they would throw it, if you guys want to show some pictures in the editing, there's like this lunch box for crows in this one shrine. Oh, and it's over there, but I'll show it to you. But they break off little, it's called goshire in the mainland and geurigi in Jeju.
Yeah.
And so they tear it off and they throw it on the ground. And that little portion is for the crows. It's just a small detail of the
like
shamanic
a token,
ceremony.
right? Like a little, yeah.
A token, a token offering for the crows. And sure enough, on these big ritual days when the whole village goes to the shrine, within, an hour or so of the people being there, the crows would fly in from 4 or 5 kilometers away. And so the question was, how do they know which days to come? Because on days that the grandmothers didn't go, they didn't go.
Don't go. Yeah,
so I went back every day and I observed.
I was going to ask, how did you know?
Yeah. And I did many experiments. I had my students go there. And when my students went, the crows didn't come. They knew that they weren't the right people somehow. So I started running experiments. I would go. They wouldn't come. I would get a grandmother friend to go, and when she went, they did come. And
did you get up in your Ajumma costume and walk around?
You've seen my Facebook profile. That's what that was. That was my disguise. So I was 2 people. I was the mask guy and without the mask.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And they just
So
they
they
didn't
really,
show up.
Okay, so it turns out there are experts in this phenomenon, and who would those experts be? The villagers, because they've been doing this ritual all their life. So they do it in their house as well. They do it at the shrine, at the Buddhist temple. They do it
many,
all the time. So they actually, Jeju farmers have a lot of information about crops.
I bet, of course. Jeez, with the crops and stuff, right? Yeah. Wow.
That's fascinating. So, are you finished? Is this project done?
Yeah, the book is done, and what the book is it's kind of like the point of view. It's some of my own research that I've done, like scientific research, reading papers about crows, trying to figure out this mystery. And then a lot of it is the villagers' theories. I went back to the village and I asked their theories.
And so you're just kind of jotting those down.
And I'm jotting those down.
Okay.
And the book will kind of be set up in such a way that it's a little bit of like a photographic mystery tour of this phenomenon.
So the photos with some, essays kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, mini maps, essays, illustrations.
Okay.
And
your books, I showed you, I held it up to the camera, but your shaman book is just beautiful. So I'm really anxious to see this next book. It's going to be good. I do have a question though, because I wanted to ask it as soon as you said it. I'm going to get his name wrong. It's not Machiavelli. Who's the author?
Machiavelli?
No. I'm going to get the name wrong. Who is the author that was talking, the book you read?
Marsluff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you contact him?
Not yet.
Okay.
I kind of want to have it done
so that he can't come in
and see what he thinks.
But how cool would that be to have a little bit more of a connection and more follow up on this?
I think that they've followed up. Many people now have followed up on his studies.
Oh, I'm sure around the world, right?
Yeah. It's a big thing.
Crows are fascinating. I think most you'd be hard pressed to find someone who hasn't read a story about a crow, or who has a friend told him. We have our friend Russ, but I've read stories on Instagram/Twitter. I was telling you this about one girl just happened to start feeding crows and then they started bringing her back treats, and it got better and better, and then when she was leaving better treats out, she was getting glittery items and stuff like that. But then they liked her so much that the neighbors couldn't come over to her house because they were the crows were they were like the enemy. They knew it wasn't her. So talking about recognition.
This happened to me.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in the shrine, when the grandmothers left, and the crows, there's kind of like etiquette between the crows and the grandmothers.
I believe that.
The crows fly in. I have a video of it you could see, but the crows fly in and they wait in the top of the sacred tree, and while the grandmothers are putting out the food, and they do not go in or make a sound until the grandmothers leave. But one time I stayed longer to see what would happen, and they were very impatient with me and dive bombing me and running me out.
We know you're not.
And they know that you're not bringing food. Yeah, they really keep. But during this exhibition, a lot of people have told me anecdotes.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody, an anecdote is probably the word I could have used, but everybody's got a story about somebody or hearing something or reading it on the internet.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I always have a picture when we talk about like the fact that crows memorize people's faces. I just imagine their eyes are like little computers, and they're doing like the scanning, you know, with the green thing.
Right.
I don't know. I have this massive image in my head.
I mean, yeah, I had the thought that maybe they're better at recognizing us than we are them, because it's really hard for us to tell crows apart.
Yeah.
But apparently they can kind of get familiar.
Something is
with
happening.
humans.
Something, yeah.
So, can you share with us one or two of the theories of the local people about how they do this, how they recognize the faces through and recognize the people through generations?
No, here it's very important, I think, in this type of research to ask local people, because a lot, especially with biology and stuff like this and animal science, you know, there's just a lot of animals, and they have not covered the behavior of every animal on this earth. Even really common animals, there's so many mysteries about them. So one man, the mayor, actually, his name is Bubong-gil of Yonggang, told me that the crows are recognizing when the offerings are made by smell. But at the time he told me that, it was commonly known that crows could hardly smell at all.
Right.
But since then, just like a couple months ago, research came out, and it turns out crows have a great sense of smell. So in this case, the farmers knew before, Yeah, but I don't think they're smelling the food. I actually think they may be smelling the smoke.
Yes,
because in a shamanic ceremony, the smoke is first.
I was going with that, or they have like a lookout person always, and when they just see people start to gather, they're like, it's on. Or in fact, they see the smoke. That's what I was going to
the lookout thing, so
that a theory?
other birds look out. Other birds signal first. And then the crows, that's another one. That's another, and I have all that recorded. And then a great theory, though, this grandmother told me, she said that crows recognize the seasons, and they know all the micro seasons for all types of food that's available to them. So they know lunar January is the time that the grandmothers go to the shrine. And it's just, they've been doing this so long, it's just in their natural understanding.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. You know, maybe there's
like
something
migration
to that.
is also, you know, just clued in.
Yeah.
Well, because migration is also something that is just taught generationally, or just innately taught.
Right.
That's not the right word.
Innately.
Thank you. I was like, that's not a word as soon as I said it. But that, maybe it's along those same lines, where it's just a built-in
That's a really good
thing,
point.
like
right?
the same,
Maybe recognizing faces is something that becomes innate. Like,
something.
because how do you give your offspring that sort of?
Well, the wild part of this book, the wild theory, is that the deeper kind of revelation that might not be true at all, it's just speculation, is that maybe when they evolved their specialized skills for recognizing individual humans, maybe it first started with some type of religious ceremony like this. Because there's a lot of, it's a little much, but I'll just say it. There's a lot of writing about early human hunters, and they had to throw parts of what they're killed to the animals to keep the animals away. You know.
That's funny. I was actually wanting more of a spiritual like solution or reasoning for it, because they're based. Those sorts of answers are based on observations that are like maybe not the solution. The answer may not be the right way to get there, but there's got to be truth to that, right? So
there are. It's mentioned in the Vedas, which is 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, and there's a poster right over there from Pompeii, which was excavated, and you can see there's a statue to Osiris because they respected the Egyptian gods still. And there's a man feeding a bird at the altar. And so it's not only Korea, it goes way back to other traditions. You know,
because we're on an island, are Jeju crows different than other crows from other places?
They're big here, hey?
Yeah, these are, so the resident crows, the ones that live here all year long that I'm watching, are called large-billed crows.
Right.
And they're big ones. They're almost the size of a raven. They're really big. They're kind of intimidating if they land, near you.
Yeah.
And there are migratory crows as well, different species of crows, but the ones I've been watching are mostly those large.
Are they indigenous to here? Do they come here from somewhere? Do you know that stuff?
They're indigenous, but probably from long
Yeah.
ago. They're in Japan commonly. Most of the research done on them is Japanese research. They're doing at Iwa Women's University, they're doing some research on it now to try to keep the magpies away.
Oh, okay. Because you brought up farmers. I wanted to ask that. Farmers in Jeju have a hate relationship with the magpies.
Right.
And it's ugly.
Right. Yeah.
They kill. It's ugly. How do they feel about the crows here?
So the crows, they love the crows. Because it's not only since they were children in this very warm religious ceremony, they're casting off these bits of food.
Honoring the crows more than
They also believe the crows are carrying that food to the ancestors. So they have to their own personal ancestors.
Okay, so
they
that's
feel
why-
like
That's a
they
much
feel
deeper bond
No, it's
than the
interesting
magpie,
with in a lot of the movies and stuff about the massacre. There's in interviews, there's scenes with the crows that are kind of associated with trauma, but that when you interview actual people, it's not so much like that. And even the ex-director of, I think, I'm not, maybe the 4-3 Museum, I'm not sure, but he just wrote a book about crows too, to kind of, he wants to make it a positive association
it's
again.
not
because because sometimes in art it's portrayed as not being positive, but then it is. I mean, the people have a very warm relationship. The magpies, on the other, that's a problem.
It's
Tens of millions of dollars they've lost to the magpies. Yeah.
But also the things they do are horrible. Yeah. So it's just like it's
Jeju graffiti.
the farmers to the magpies.
Well, Jeju has a lawsuit
relationship.
with Asiana Airlines because Asiana brought them here and another company.
Brought the magpies here?
Oh yeah, they're not native.
Yeah,
No, but like, why would an airplane company bring them here?
You need to look into this. You'll love it. I mean, it's a tourism associated thing. It's Korea's national bird, and they wanted, a national symbol in Korea, so they wanted to have it for honeymooners and. So like I was saying, these large-billed crows have a respect and an agreement with this is the practical side. This is my theory, what I see. No one said this, I don't think, but this is what I think. They have a kind of etiquette between the villagers and the crows, and feeding the crows a little bit of the offering is to maybe stave them off from eating the crops. But the magpies, even at the shamanic shrines, I watch the magpies, and the magpies don't have that etiquette.
Yeah.
They just come in and they very greedily kind of take. It's a big issue. So at Iwa Women's University, they're doing some horrific studies where these women in Seoul Forest are walking around with like carcasses of magpies hanging from a pole, like 10 or 20 magpies hanging from a pole, and they're trying to induce trauma into the other magpies
to see Well, because they're trying to do anything they can at this point.
Anything they can.
It's a massive population.
Yeah.
It's massive, but it also would go to show like these studies will show like if crows really are just more intelligent, than other.
Yeah, I don't know. Magpies are in the same family as crows, and they're brilliant too.
Right.
I mean,
In
they're
their own
also
way,
So it's I think that they've displaced the crows. I heard in coastal villages, but on the in this situation, the crows are dominant where I went. Like the magpies, kind of the crows go to the shamanic shrine first. This stuff sounds so crazy, doesn't it? It's true though. The crows go to the shamanic shrine first, and then the magpies kind of hang back. And there's kind of a pecking order between species.
I mean, that makes sense to me, though, because it's the same in the wild, in the deserts and stuff like that, which animals get to go to the carcasses first. So that's not too surprising, but it's wild.
I think we think about that more dramatically with like lion, hyenas, but this is with birds as well. Yeah.
And it's just innate, again, just an innate thing that we don't know. So it's so crazy.
What is the most surprising or thing that you learned or observed with these crows that just kind of like
you said these crows?
So one surprising thing is that year after year when I went there, because the big ceremonies happen over a 2-week period once a year, and so I went back several years for that, and then I went on other days as well.
The smaller,
I was just kind of amazed how casually the elderly people would go to this shrine, and how like clockwork, with the same timing even, these crows would fly in snow, in rain, in any weather, and how no one really seem to pay attention or notice that much.
It's just so common.
It's so common. It was just like a natural part of their life. So once I started really thinking about this situation, and I had already filmed this situation, but not really on purpose, just kind of happenstance back in the day.
Yeah.
And once I paid attention to it, I just thought there's this whole interspecies kind of thing going on here where no one really thinks about it consciously. They do think about it consciously, actually. When I was doing interviews, they talked about picking food that the crows would like, for example.
Right.
But when this is going on at the shrine and just like 40 crows are flying in, everybody's just going around their business as if it happens. It was just so natural to them, and that was interesting to me.
So cool that you got to see that, Joey. So cool.
You can't tag them or anything, can you? Because it would be kind of useful to know if it's the same, like which bird is which, because you can't differentiate.
Yeah, so you can't tag them, and
why can't you?
I couldn't. I mean, I wouldn't.
As a member of the public.
Just like go up there and tag her.
I thought we were just saying in general.
Yeah. No, I mean, so this is No. I did not tag any crows. I was.
Before that reminds me, before you guys leave, I have to tag both of you because you're on my list, and I want to.
Right.
Do you think that's in the future?
I think I don't know, but they've done all this in Japan.
Yes, right.
And so by research, I know that this particular type of crow it lives in the same area.
Right.
It has like a 10-kilometer. There's 30 or 40 crows who occupy. They're one group together, and they occupy a single area.
Right.
So each few villages has like a different set of crows. So you kind of know that they're the same.
Yeah.
So is this only happening? Are you only really doing the observations at one village, or are you trying to see if this is being replicated at other shrines?
I did interviews in 3 villages, and then some other people are doing interviews for me now in other places because they came here and got interested. And but I'm following the group of crows just in the one village, but I've done interviews in the surrounding villages too, just to see.
So Joey, after the book comes out and we do that, because that's the first project. What would you, if you could just like have a wild dream, what would be the follow-up to this? So the book is out. It's people are getting interested.
Yeah.
What would be would you want someone else to do it, study it? Would you like to
we're talking about pitching it to TV.
Okay.
So so we'll see. There is a bit of a buzz apparently about Jeju crows right now because of that other book, which I didn't know. And interestingly, he kind of photographed the next group over. Next to my group,
really?
Okay. And then there's a girl at Jeju University who was kind of watching the group on the other side. So it like
it's a little bit connected. But
they weren't looking at the same stuff I was,
but the same. Wow, that's
truly interesting.
Well, then what would you? So maybe a TV, but what would be the goal? Would you like? What would Would you like to prove?
Yeah, I think the same thing.
To see,
so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to leave open. One of the main points of this book is to give like kind of the local body of knowledge that like farmers have, that like working class people have of their environment,
already.
And just show the wealth and value of that type of culture that's been going on for a long time.
Okay.
And I just kind of want to leave it an open question because I think that all of these theories, it's a little bit of everything. I think that's the answer. I think it's a number of things. But it'll be interesting. I also like the fact that as a non-scientist, I think that I'm offering something up that's valuable to science, actually. But I can't tag the crows. I can't do all that. So I'm just going to leave it open. It's going to be an open.
This is more of an artistic book. It sounds really fascinating.
Sure. Yeah, it's more.
I'm looking for like an answer or a solution, and the book is not that. It's more like
an appreciation.
Art.
I've read so many papers on crows, and I think attaining an answer will be quite difficult. Yeah.
I have to tell you, I don't. Maybe I'm off on this, but I think there's like a theme to your work, and it's not just shamanism. It's this. So to our listeners, one of the things that I've been very interested in Joey in is his work that he did way before on hackberry trees.
Yes. Yeah.
And one of the things that you told me that stuck with me about hackberry trees that was so interesting is you said that they follow people.
Right.
And that they're attracted to fire.
Yeah.
So the theme are these sentient, beings or whatever that have this weird relationship with humans. Is that something that you're interested in?
Yes, I'm very much interested in how the animals see us, and a clue to how they see us is kind of our ideas and local people's ideas of how they see us. Yeah. And the hackberry thing, that sounds dramatic, but if you went to like deep time, what you would see is hackberry trees kind of appearing where people live. Because hackberry trees need a lot of space, they need a clearing, and they do well when there's not a lot of vegetation around them. So they would kind of follow like open areas.
So for our listeners, so that they understand, hackberry trees are all over the island. They're these old village centers often, and they're these massive trees that have lived, like there's one by my house that's been around since before Shakespeare. Right?
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
To our listeners, you'll recognize them if you're going through a village. Often they'll have benches around them, or they'll have platforms built into them. I mean, literally in the middle of the road.
Really
you have
snaky branches and kind of rubbery looking.
The old people
bark.
will sit under it, and that's their. So that's what we're talking about. You'll be like, oh.
Do you know speaking of our earlier topic today? Do you know the hackberry tree's closest relative?
Ron DeSantis?
Yeah.
What is it, Vic? Ron DeSantis.
Exactly.
No one's gonna know.
Well rooted in Jeju. He's got a foothold.
I'm a marijuana.
Yeah,
okay. I was like, if I say that, I'm gonna sound really stupid.
The 10 experts that exist in the world about hackberry trees, they don't think that hackberry trees are trees. They think that their closest relative is marijuana. They've tried to get psychoactive substances from it, and they failed. It's not there.
You're just putting
as
ideas
far as
into. Okay, good. They failed, listeners.
Yeah.
They failed. Don't be doing crazy stuff.
But that's some fun stuff. There's a lot of interesting stuff about hackberry trees.
Because my interest in it has to do with the writing I do about Sasan.
Yeah.
Because being village centers, they are prominent. They come up when I talk to people, just as being like a setting location.
Right.
And
the speeches location and the gathering location.
The
announcement location.
Yeah. So before, like the villages. That's the person I spoke to recently. They in the summer. That's where all the babies were dropped off underneath the hackberry tree while everybody went to work on the farms.
Interesting.
Right? So the older kids would watch the babies underneath the hackberry tree while everybody went away. So it's just it's always a prominent image in my head on Jeju. So I think about you a lot.
And before we get further into the bromance, no, really, Joey, it's so nice to always talk to you. Like, even when we're just out for drinks or having dinner or we have you on the podcast, it's always like, wow, mind altering.
Good time talking to you guys, too. And thanks for having me on. And
It's been
so let's say one more time. So Joey currently already available to buy is his Spirits about it's a picture book and it's about the different shamanistic sites. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Very few copies left.
Very few copies. So I mean, by the time of this, and then the next project will be the next book, and that'll come out at the end of summer.
End of summer is the goal.
And
where
you'll
can
see
people be part of this Kickstarter
Kickstarter
campaign?
We can put a link out for sure.
That would be great.
Yeah, we'll put a link
if you
up,
guys put a link up, that'd be great.
Yeah. And is there something else down the line that we should be looking for, or we gotta wrap this? Wrap your first project up before you start thinking.
Yeah, I think this is it for now.
Yeah.
That's kind of the goal, and then I'll think about further down the road. Down the road.
And your pluggables, where can people get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you?
They can go to pagansweare.com, which is my website. Pagans, like shamanic pagans we are. And I'm the same on Instagram. And the Kickstarter link you guys will provide.
We'll put it up,
And
Great, thank you so much for coming. This is a blast. We'll have you on again.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.